Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. And before we get started, I have an exciting announcement I want to make.
Oh, do tell.
We're going to be launching a new Kickstarter for a new
shit.
anime streaming service.
Oh, awesome.
Fuck, finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's going to be called the GLORIO Tube. Naturally.
Okay.
And
Alright,
we're going to be funding and licensing new seasons for all of our GLORIO cult favorites.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
what do you have lined
So,
up? I'm
we'll
sure
have,
I'm sure you've already made the deals, right? Like,
Yes, of course. We've got the... I'll finally be able to get season 2 of Bimbo Gamiga.
Oh, okay.
Season 2 of Hinamatsuri.
Oh wow! All right, wow!
Mozaki.
I can't believe that we're announcing here that we are funding season 2 of.
What about Nozaki-kun?
No, it's still no Nozaki-kun. Couldn't get that
okay.
one. But I'm sure you guys are excited for. What are some of the shows you guys are excited for season 2?
Well, I mean, obviously, the GLORIO 2 will be the place to watch 24/7 reruns of Nobunaga and Granville.
Yes.
Season 3
although I'm sure
Battlefront.
even we couldn't get another season of those made though. But
The long-awaited
We're
film
being-
sequel to Garo Vanishing Line.
This is a realistic bit, okay?
yes, but yes, of course, we want to be transparent and make sure everyone knows this is not a scam. So I've done 2 weeks of Duolingo in Japanese so that I can do negotiations myself.
Okay.
Wow,
And,
it's like you're a real Japanese.
Wow, that's even more prestigious than Rosetta Stone.
That's more. Yes, it's on your phone.
Oh shit.
And I'll get some unpaid interns for translation or something for we can have them work for experience.
Crunchyroll pays premium rates.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
We can have them work for experience, not exposure though, because we don't credit translators. Anyway, let's. I'm sure that joke will age real well.
It's already over. Is the
even
problem.
by the time-
TLDR, don't give money to Anime Tube or whatever it's
It's
called.
already been.
It's already been.
Oh, is that
delisted, yeah.
Kickstarter's already been shut
Yes.
down? Wow. Okay.
But,
Well, then yes, this will be immediately aged by the time this is this is published.
I had just had to live that dream in my head for a minute.
Sure.
Of, those season 2s getting made. Anyway, what we're really here to talk about, of course, is the new anime season, summer 2021,
Make it stop.
9th anniversary of the GLORIO blog. So this is season 36
And
for us.
what better way to celebrate it than this fucking
Yum yum.
hard-hitting season of bangers?
Wow,
Yeah.
even better than last season, folks.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Wow, somehow this season is just astonished me.
Yeah, real barn
Well,
burner.
Spoiler alert, if you listen to our season preview, pretty much everything we said came true. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But before we get into it, let's just introduce ourselves. I'm Jel. I am joined, as always, by Iro.
I'm here. I'm not dead yet, despite this season's best attempt.
Yes, still with us. We're joined by G.
There's only 3 of us here today because the rest of the world has fallen under the insidious siren song of soccer, and
Yes.
only us Americans are immune to its effects.
I think at least a portion of our UK crew is tied up with the big soccer game.
Yes, I mean, whether that means watching or boarding up their windows in anticipation for the
Whatever.
because
either result-
that is about to
Either
occur.
result may
Yeah.
result in but
Well, by
I'm
the
sure
time
that-
you're listening to this, you already know how it went down. But I would say to anybody out there in the UK listening, do stay safe and please don't tip over any cars.
yeah, another joke that will be timeless and relevant in the future. But anyway,
Wow.
we're holding it down on this one.
Uh-huh.
And maybe they made the wiser choice as
I'm battered and beaten, but I'm holding the bridge like Benkei.
yeah, it's just
I will die standing from all these isekai arrows piercing my body.
yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, there's a couple things I'll probably watch, but I'm not even like.
Oh, G and I are
enthusiastic
literally saying, what are small shows we want to get back to?
Oh yeah, no. We are like, I'm not even joking. Like Gel, like I think Ira and I are literally going to introduce like we're not going to start entirely new podcasts for this because like we don't have that much energy, but we are probably going to sideload in some podcast adjacent segments into this podcast.
Oh, we're gonna have time.
We need because we desperately just need to fill for time. So we will get into that a little bit with some of these shows, but.
Stay tuned for that. But
yes,
anyway,
prepare for our hot new podcast, GLORIO X Sword, our Gun X Sword watch along podcast.
I might have to get in on that.
Should have been doing that at the same time as Back Arrow.
I know that would have been the actual smart play, but last season was actually good. We didn't have time for that.
Yeah. All right. I can't put this off any longer. Let's get into it.
All right.
No, I'm getting more arrows in my body. God damn it.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to acknowledge if anybody had any inclination that the isekai trend was slowing down at any point, it was back with a vengeance this season. No.
Well, Shield Hero's second season has been delayed. We'll just get the other shit.
Well,
everyone's favorite isekai, Shield Hero.
Needless to say, there were many of them this season, and Iroh, you were forced to watch some of them.
Yeah, boy, was I.
Thanks, Zig. And I'm assuming none of them were good.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
I wrote down here Isekai Trash Minute. I watched 3 out of the more than 3 isekai shows.
I had counted 7 at one point.
Fuck me.
All right, which are the 3?
Wow, I'm not even halfway.
Which are the lucky 3 that
all right,
you
was
got to
forced to watch Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, Drugstore in Another World, The Slow Life of a Cheat Pharmacist, and How a Realist Hero Rebuilt a Kingdom.
Wait, what was Tsukimichi about? Because that actually doesn't tell you in the title for once.
Yeah, you're right. A dude, let's just go. The hook for that one is the guy gets summoned into another world, but he already knows how isekais work.
So he's just self-aware?
Oh, is it like
he's
a
self-aware.
meta thing?
The joke is that he's butt ugly, and everyone in the fantasy world's hot. So he gets... And so the goddess is like, you're gross. I'm going to banish you to the monster lands. And so he's like, wow, I'm going to hang out with all the monsters. And also because my parents were actually from the fantasy world and got isekai'd to Earth. And now I've been isekai'd from Earth to this world. I'm super strong because I grew up on Earth with its powerful gravity.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I shouldn't have asked.
I'm gonna form a magical contract with this dragon, but because my manas is so large and huge, this dragon's gonna become my slave.
This guy's not even ugly.
She's gonna turn into a big-titted samurai.
This guy,
of course.
I had to look this up. This dude's not even ugly. He just looks like a
dude.
A dude. Like,
no,
like,
but you
with
see,
everyone
in the fantasy world is unnaturally beautiful, and so to them, he looks like a monster.
All right, so that's awful.
All right, so what's next? Pharmacy one? How's that one?
Boring as shit.
Okay,
was that more of like a was that more of just like a boring slice of life and not a slavery one?
At least credit to that one is they say at the start, yeah, he's from another world, whatever, and move on from there. Like they don't care to set it up because why should they?
You know what?
I don't care either.
I almost hate that just as much though, because the fact that they feel like they have to
Trojan horse it in, right? Like with
right, so it's like it doesn't even like actually.
When does it ever?
Right?
For
when it could have literally just been a guy running a pharmacy in a fantasy world,
and it's just like he's got his wolf tail lolly and his ghost employee, and they mix potions and sell them to the little townsfolk, and the old man drinks the pep potion and gets so pepped up and can build the house.
Isn't there like an entire like successful JRPG like
to the Atelier series
based on this premise, but like done according to its fan base well?
Where it's not isekai, it's just
and it's not isekai.
The Atelier series, is what you're talking about. That's a reasonably popular JRPG series that has endured for a surprisingly long time.
Right, and like doesn't need to rely on isekai as a trapping to justify its premise.
Wow. Yeah, Reciteer is the thing.
Oh, remember that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wait, also, isn't it racketeer? Because it's like a play on the word
I
racketeer.
mean, that's what they did for the localization. That was
Right,
the joke.
okay,
They made
okay.
they made it into a joke when a joke did not previously exist.
Well,
Which, solid localization.
Yeah, sometimes a good localization can help a lot, like a certain show we'll be talking about later
Yes,
in this podcast.
and what was the
Alright.
last one again,
Last
Iron?
one on my notes here. How a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom.
I feel like
that-
just based on title alone, this is the one that will probably make me the angriest, but...
Okay, let me set you up. This kid's in the library. He's reading Machiavelli's The Prince.
Okay, I
Oh,
hate this
oh,
already.
God.
Wow, I
Then
hate
he gets
this.
trucked into another world.
This is like anathema to my soul. Like this is like sunlight to a vampire. The things we're describing to are actively
Trying not
harm
to,
me.
I
I
was trying not to
suffer,
vomit over
Gets
here.
sucked into another world.
I suffer a negative 20%
upon a-
debuff on all of my stats just listening to this.
Upon arriving in another world. And
Isn't he like a
realizing he
city
can't go
planner or
back
something,
home.
basically?
He's like, well, if I have to be here and help your kingdom, you better show me all your ledgers and shit. And then there's a montage of him talking with the king about how, here's, according to my brilliant 18-year-old modern-day brain who was reading Machiavelli's The Prince, these are the things you need to do to fix your kingdom's problems.
I am rolling a wisdom save with disadvantage here. This is
And then the king's like, well, this child knows way more about statecraft than me, the king.
oh my,
I'm making him the new king.
this is
And making him betrothed to my daughter.
this is literally like the worst thing I've ever heard.
So
and,
he
like,
becomes the new king.
Like-
and
this is probably not actually as like morally offensive as say a redo of Healer or Shield Hero, but like the fundamental like
well,
baseline of what you're describing is so like this is like
and then the pretty princess is like, Father, why did you abdicate the throne to an other worlder? And so she walks in on him, and he's doing all the paperwork, and he's like, well, I put together the budget reports for the kingdom.
oh my god.
These are the treasures we can sell. And she's like, oh, Subarashi, this guy, maybe he's not so bad after all.
Her clothes
Blush.
immediately
This
start
is-
falling off.
Maybe he can bring our kingdom back
This
to
is the
prosperity.
worst. Like this is the actual worst. Like this is like and we are only allowed to say this because we have all watched the legendary 1988 science fiction OVA Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but this is like when people have watched Legend of the Galactic Heroes and then they say, well, I know a thing or two about statecraft. I think I could run a country pretty well.
I'm just gonna say, The Prince is a very short book. Is all I'm gonna say.
There are rumors that that Machiavelli wrote The Prince as satire. Like he wrote it to make fun of people who think like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's
Anyway.
so he's the realist hero, and he's gonna rebuild the kingdom. Everybody.
All right, this has been longer than a minute. Let's move on. So speaking of,
Oh yeah. Well, so what's next on the isekai train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was counting in the 7 isekai that was counting the return of My Next Life as a Villainess.
Right.
All roads lead to Doom.
Season
X.
1 of this was fairly inoffensive.
Yes. So we talked a bit about that on the preview. Both Ira and I watched this first season through its entirety. It was fun. It was pleasant. And we both agreed season 2 did not need to exist. And the first episode of this confirmed that.
Great.
It's basically, they've basically removed the hook of the show, which was the fact that she knew what she went to a game world and she knew what was going to happen in the game. So knowing the future, she was able to, figure out what she had to do to not die, because her character was going to die one way or the other. And she figured out how to do that and make everybody happy in the end.
Cool.
And
wow, sounds like a great self-contained story. That,
once you pull that hook out, you realize, well...
Oh, wait, this actually was a small one. We need to throw it back.
Once the hook's gone, it's basically, you realize it's a very bare bones harem show. Like, that's it. That's all they've got.
Yep.
And complete with like the complete idiot protagonist that can't tell that these people are in love with her, even though like they're literally saying word for word, Katarina, I'm in love with you. Let's run away and be together forever. And she's just like, huh? What?
I feel like she played these games, right? Like that's the joke, right? Like is that she's familiar with these games, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't she like understand the tropes that are at play here? And
But she's not the heroine, you see.
yeah, because
be in
she's
love with
she's
her.
playing the character that was the villainess.
yeah,
I mean,
but like
to a certain
Right.
degree, I think it's also because she doesn't want to be with any of them, which
oh sure, okay.
I kind of, in a way, I kind of respect that her only priorities in life are eating snacks and not dying.
Hey man, that's like
Look,
my
sounds
top two
good.
goals.
Yeah.
So she's just trying to basically do that while they're all coming on to her. So,
So like what? Yeah,
but
so like what's the plot of season 2 then? Like if it's over, have they introduced anything that will be an overarching meta plot?
kind of. So like obviously since it's the first episode of the new season, they have to
Okay, yes.
reintroduce
Right,
everybody,
yes,
and they
absolutely.
get their one like, here's my one character trait scene.
Yep.
And I guess something came about like Katarina going to some special magic academy or something, or
Sure,
magic
okay.
department
Yep.
of the kingdom with Maria, and she might leave to go after school, but gasp, they won't be able to be with all their friends anymore. And
Oh no.
that's kind of what they're going for, but yeah, I don't know.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to rag too hard on the show because, like, again, it's completely inoffensive. There's nothing wrong with it. If you like the show, more power to you.
Sure.
I have no complaints about it. It's just like,
What if Katarina picked up a book and it was Machiavelli's The Prince?
let's be serious. She wouldn't pick up a book. Yeah. So I mean, will I watch more? Probably not. But this is also a very bad season.
Fair.
Yep.
So I don't know. I might watch this so Peter and I can continue to argue what the best ship in the show is. But,
I mean, I've said my piece on this, not on tape, but I've said it in our Discord.
yeah, so I'm pro Team Maria, who's like the ex main character.
Right. See, that makes sense as like a full circle dramatic irony thing.
Yes.
Where
And,
there's something that was just a self-contained story that did not require to continue forever to make money.
Right. I believe, well, you can go check out our post on that for more on that. But yes, it's perfectly fine show. If you're still enjoying it, I'm happy for you.
I wish
The
we could
best
be
we
as
could
happy as
possibly
you.
say.
Yeah, that's actually pretty high on the list of shows.
Honestly, in a season like this,
This
that is
season
probably-
like this.
that is probably going to be on the upper end of our like our ratings for this
Yep.
season.
Yeah. All right. Let's move along. Let's talk about.
Let's get a little more
Alright.
hot-blooded.
Case files of Vanitas.
No,
Wait,
no, we've
what?
got
No,
Get a Robo Arc.
Oh, I missed Get a Robo. That's right. We
time to get a
switched
little
to-
hot-blooded.
Oh,
Show some gatsu.
All right.
Gatsu, which they did not translate as guts.
No, but we will get into that in a moment. So
So,
yeah, get a Robo Arc.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It looks not great
It looks
on
like
a budget
crap.
level. Yeah, it looks like shit.
Yeah,
actually.
like there's
Who-
no
who
way
is
around it. It just
Who
looks
is making
bad.
this? Was this anybody notable making this?
I
don't think so.
Let me
Let me-
examine that information.
We
Go
can look at
ahead
our
and
first
speak.
look post where it says it was being done by a studio called B Media that
Okay.
I have never heard of.
Oh, B as in Bumblebee. Okay.
Yes. Bzzz. Yeah, so, like, kind of unfortunately, the first impression you get from Arc is not great because it just doesn't look very good. Like,
Yeah.
and this is not us, like, judging the art style. Look, we here at the GLORIO chat, we love ourselves some Go Nagai, alright?
Yep.
We love men with real, like, a bunch of hash marks on their faces and looking hella edgy and gotten weirdo spiral eyes. We love that shit, okay?
Huge sideburns.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is not the problem with Get a Robo Arc. The problem with Get a Robo Arc is it's just really cheaply animated. Like, you can just tell that this show has, like, no budget. Like, the CG looks bad, the character animation is, like, non-existent. It's, like, almost entirely panning, shaking stills. It's just really rough. And for being only 2 episodes into this show, and it looking that way is just really not promising for this show from a production standpoint. But I do think the nicest thing I could say about Get a Robo Arc is that, unlike, say, a Back Arrow, which we felt personally, like, failed because of, like, the intentional choices made by its creators, Get a Robo Arc feels like a show with its heart in the right place.
Yeah.
Like, this is a show where the people working on this legitimately want to make a great Get a Robo anime, and they are trying their hardest. But it is 2021, and Get a Robo is not exactly a big draw. Like, if even fucking Mazinger Goddamn Z has to resort to CG mecha, Get a Robo is not going to get, is not going to have the red carpet rolled out for it. And that is unfortunate, because, I think tonally, thematically, this does feel like Get a Robo. Like, this does feel like hot-blooded, pilots getting into robots, Like, I was telling Eero about this, right? Like, if you have the spectrum of mecha pilots and their willingness to get into the robot, on one end of the spectrum, you have your Shinji Ikari, who is actively antagonistic towards getting into the robot. Maybe closer to the middle, you have your, like, Amuro Ray, who's, like, reluctant, but gets into the robot because it's his duty. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have getter pilots, who are like, dude, piloting a giant robot is fucking awesome. Nothing makes me happier than fucking shit up in a giant robot. Man, I couldn't think of a better job than killing aliens for a living in my giant robot. And that's Getter. Like, Getter is about characters who are larger than life, who are sadistically enthusiastic about piloting the giant robot. And I think Arc does get this.
Yeah.
You want to say something, Nero?
The subtitles for this show, I've also been getting into the mood. I would say some real mid-90s let's punch this up with swears going on.
Yes,
which is very funny to me.
Yeah,
is it like the old days of fan subbing?
Kinda.
Sticking way more swear
except
words
except it works for what this show is, right?
Right,
for
because
the mood.
Get a Robo is a relic of the 90s, right? It is a relic of a bygone era of super robot anime. And Get a Robo was always, like, a little bit edgier than Mazinger. So, when a character is like, shut the fuck up, pussy, or like, I'm gonna beat your ass, bitch, it's like, okay, alright, this is Getter, this is fine. There's a part where, like, Eero caught this, where, like, they're talking about how, like, oh, well, to be a true Getter pilot, you need to have, like, strong willpower, because you see,
guts,
Getter chooses its pilot, right? And, like, you gotta have a lot of so the character, I think, he says in
he's
Japanese,
like, of course Getter would choose people with guts like me,
with
or
Gatsu,
something
right?
like that.
Right, so you can clearly hear Gatsu somewhere in that line. And they translate as, oh, so that's why you're looking for big, bald pilots like me. Fucking big-dicked pilots. It's just like, okay, you know what, like, these embellishments work for Getter. Because
Man, that's real disappointing, because it sounds like they get it.
They do. It sounds like they kind of do. Like, anytime, like, the things that are coming out of the characters' mouths are perfect. Like, every time they talk, like, I was really disappointed by episode 1, just because, like, I really wanted to like it, but, like, it's a really rough introduction. Like, it's just they throw a bunch of characters at you, and, like, I am, like, somewhat schooled in Getter. I assume for someone like Eero, who has, like, zero Getter knowledge, it's a very
basically nothing here.
Confusing first episode, and they don't really do a lot to help you with that.
Oh, so they're just diving right in.
Oh yeah, because, like, this is the fourth in a manga series, right? Like, this is like the fourth like Getter is a little bit like JoJo in that it has, like, generational sequels, right?
Right.
And they just don't do anything to, like, onboard you, and combine that with the bad animation, and, like, it's a really rough first impression. We came away from the second episode a little bit more positive, just because, like, now that they had established the cast and, like, the setting, episode 2 kind of allowed the characters to stretch themselves out a little bit more, to get into the character dynamics, and, like, I'm not gonna say it's, like, fucking, this is, like, some, primo super robot, stuff, but, like, it was kind of comforting, right? It was a little bit like a warm blanket watching these fucking like
meathead idiots, like
right, like hot-blooded meathead dumbasses like swearing at each other and then getting into fist fights for the dumbest reasons. And so it's like it's interesting. It is interesting watching it, you know, like I think that like for better or worse, like at best, Get a Robo Arc is probably going to settle into a sort of Copcraft-esque position of like we like it because it's clearly trying its best with what it has, but what it has is just not enough.
Right.
But, you know, we want to reward that effort all the same. And
it is
related to that, we are, you know, because the season is so bare, we are starting our new feature, GLORIO Robo Armageddon, where Iro and I will be watching the classic 1998 OVA Get a Robo Armageddon in conjunction with Get a Robo Arc, kind of week to week. I think Armageddon is a 13-episode OVA, so it actually lines up pretty perfectly, and just kind of, you know, comparing and contrasting, seeing what a Get a Robo can be at its best. And man, Armageddon is crazy. It is like
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it after one episode.
It is very much the excesses of the 90s distilled into mecha anime.
I've seen clips from that.
Yeah,
yes.
it is like when you think of like super robot anime from the 90s, it's Get a Robo Armageddon. It's a lot of fun to watch, and like watching the two like together, it's like
it's kind of depressing.
Yeah, it's a little bit, right? Because like here's the thing.
Oh, how far we've fallen.
Yeah, like Armageddon's not even like by the standards of like 90s mecha anime OVA, Armageddon's not even like that much of a looker. Like, you know, it's no Macross Plus, you know? But like compared to Arc, like, you know, people actually move and Get a Robo Armageddon, you know?
Right.
But maybe the interesting thing, and like I'll definitely be curious to get Iro's take on it as we continue on this path, is like, obviously, so we all know, you know, we all here love Trigger's one Hiroyuki Imaishi, and you know, kind of his somewhat unique directing style, and like, you know, the thing I didn't even mention last podcast is like, Gurren Lagann is basically the Get a Robo that Imaishi never got to work on, right? Like Gurren Lagann is deeply informed by the sensibilities of Get a Robo, and Amaishi's directing style in general is very much informed by Get a Robo.
Right. I mean, we were watching Arc, and this wacky little scientist man shows up on screen. It's like, oh, okay, I see.
Right, and it's like you look at that character, and it's like, obviously Imaishi came after Get a Robo, right? But because of like our relationship with anime, right? Yeah. You look at a character like that and you're like, oh, that's just an Imaishi. But it's like, no, every time you have ever seen that type of character in an Imaishi anime, that type of like animation flourish. Like, there's a part in episode 1 where like the heroes get accosted by a bunch of like fucked up looking hobos with goofy faces, and they keep animating in the same like 3 frames on loop. And like, you're like, oh, that's an Imaishi, and it's like, no, that's Get a Robo, and that's what Imaishi took from Get a Robo.
Right.
And so, in that regard, it is kind of a fascinating, like, bit of history to look at, and to see, like, what went on to inspire one of our favorite, like, anime directors. So,
it's a good history lesson.
Yeah, but
all right.
As a show itself, like, it's a little rough, but, like, it also it goes for the cheap pops in a way that work. Like, I think that we have now heard like 4 different Jam Project songs in the last 2 episodes alone.
Hell yeah!
They're just gonna drop a new album in this.
Like, they know what they're doing.
They're doing like remixes of old
stuff
like
they've
done for Getter. Yeah,
like in episode 2, they literally play an orchestrated version of Get a Robo Armageddon's second opening. And, like, it's the cheapest fucking thing in the world you can do, and the moment itself doesn't even look that great. But I'm over here going, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing they did. You know, it's look. Maybe that's like really their target at this point. Yeah, it's just
long suffering.
Remind you of the better Getter Robos.
Yeah,
but
All right.
In a season like this, we'll probably stick with it just because, it is an interesting thing to look at. But
Right.
it is unfortunate that it could not hit.
What else are we gonna watch?
Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, stay tuned for more developments on that, I guess.
Yes.
Yup.
All right. Well, now do you want to talk about case files of?
Oh, not really.
If we have to.
I mean, look, the show's probably totally fine. I just don't care for it.
It is the Bungo Stray Dogs lineage of
Right. Bones.
right?
Bones is
Yeah,
new.
like-
Ikemen
Right,
/ battle show.
yeah. It's like, it is Sirius the Jaeger, but far less interesting.
What was the hook on this one?
All right. So long ago, this is a
or
world.
due
This is a
diligence here.
world where vampires exist alongside humans.
Oh, hot vampire guys. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably stop there, but Vanitas is the blue-eyed vampire who was born under the blue moon, and so he was long oppressed by the other vampires, and he created the Tome of Vanitas, which has mystical powers, and passed that down through the ages or whatever. And now, in steampunk Europe, vampires are integrated with humans. But something's causing the vampires to go crazy and attack people. So, the new Vanitas must use the power of the Book of Vanitas to cure the vampires of whatever's causing them to go crazy. With the help of his hot vampire boyfriend. Quote-unquote boyfriend.
Hot vampire guys.
It's
Got
that show. It's that show. It's like, this is a show that, this show's not like morally offensive. It's not like bad. In fact, it's quite well made. It's just,
Not my scene.
the nicest thing we could probably say is not for us, right? Like, this is just not a show that interests us, but I don't know. I feel like I almost have to be harsher because, so here, I started doing this bit while we were watching that episode, and I don't even know why I'm going to do this bit here, but this is legitimately all I can really say for this show. But, like, in the tabletop RPG called Shadowrun, there's a concept called Essence, right? So Essence, for those who are unfamiliar, Shadowrun is like a cyberpunk world, but with like fantasy elements, right? So it's like, oh, what if Blade Runner, but there were like elves and orcs running around, right? So there's like magic and stuff. And in that world, Essence is kind of your like tangibility in the universe, right? It is the universe recognizing your fundamental existence in the world, and you need Essence to like be a strong magic caster. But you lose Essence when you implant cybernetics into yourself. The idea being that cybernetics are anathema to magic. And so the more cybernetics you put in yourself, the less Essence you have, and that means the less of a grip on like the fundamental fabric of reality you have. And at 0 Essence, you basically lose your entire connection to the fabric of reality. You become a non-entity. You become incapable of connecting to the universe, and the universe becomes incapable of connecting to you. That's what Vanitas felt like. Like, it is a show that is, like, technically well-made and entirely competent, but, like, its very presence to me was, like, I barely can even recognize this show exists. Like, it's not bad, it's not good, I just don't, like, it's like, I look in the direction of Vanitas and I see blank.
I feel like that's a lot of shows this season, because, like, we don't even have, like, a lot of, like, truly awful shows.
No,
like,
it's just, like, shows that just are just completely
might as well not
apathetic
exist to
to
me,
right?
Yeah, it's like
might as well just not exist.
in your like they're not good enough to watch, and they're not bad enough to get mad
hate.
about. So, like, what are we
just
doing?
There, right? It's just like it's like if someone, if I was like, someone's like, can you, hey, like, gee, we need you to identify Vanitas in the police lineup.
Oh my
I don't think
God.
I could.
No.
Like, I couldn't recognize it, right? Like, I look at its direction and like the reality blurs over there.
Show a screenshot and guess what anime it is, and
It
decide,
just
I don't
doesn't.
know.
Yeah, it's like it's just such a non-entity of a show. Like it's not that like anything it does is bad, but it's just none of it's interesting, right? It's just
Right.
okay, like the two boys, are hot, and one of them's like the serious one, and one of them's the the
peppy
lighthearted
one,
one,
yeah.
and the peppy one. It's just like, again, like Look, man, I'm not gonna act like, we here at the GLORIO chat are the connoisseurs of novelty, right, man? Like, I was out here fucking singing the praises of shows like
Get a Robo.
like Getter Robo just a second ago because it had a main character that called another character a pussy. Okay, like I'm not pretending like our standards here are like particularly sophisticated, but like I don't know, man. It's just a nothing sandwich, man. That show just doesn't register
Right.
for me at all.
Yeah. That's right.
We can now just move on and forget it existed, I guess. Like many shows this season. All right.
Oof.
Deep
How
breath.
about this show?
Deep breaths. Take a deep breath, deep breath,
Let's
deep breath.
Let's talk about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S.
Wow.
All right. How is the glorious return of Kiyoshi?
My complicated relationship with the show. I can't think of another show that for me has parts that I like so much and parts that I hate so much in near equal measure.
I've seen some gifs of the new Dragon Maid, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so that's what they're doing these
So
days,
I have a lot to say about this first episode because they went some places.
Okay.
First of all, once again, glad Kiwani's back. The show looked great. They are totally back from that perspective. And they did posthumously credit Yasuhiro Takemoto as the series director, which was nice. So, glad they're back. That said,
the show itself, though.
yeah. Well, first of all, one other thing I will throw in. We never really talked about it, but they did a series of shorts last season. They were like 1-minute episodes. And so I did marathon those. It's like 20 minutes total or something.
Sure.
I did marathon those before watching this, and I got to admit it kind of got me a little amped up because the shorts were highlighting the things I like about the show.
Okay.
Almost all the shorts were about Kobayashi and Toru, who's the Dragon Maid, and their adopted daughter, and just little vignettes of them living their family life, and it was very nice. And so, going into episode 1, I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe this show isn't as bad as I remember. The the parts that are good are so good, and I really like them. And yeah, they go some places. So, you've already mentioned, since this is season 2, they have to shake up the status quo and bring in a new dragon lady, right?
Sure.
Who has one of the worst character designs of all time.
I have seen these gifs, and I am like, oh boy, this is
in a show that's already famous.
Actually seen
oh
these
man, hold on a second. I might have to pull up.
I need to react in real time to this
picture of this.
Yeah, in a show that's already famous for one giant booby dragon lady. They decided to one up that, I guess. Except this new dragon lady is also only like 4 feet tall, so that her chest circumference is arguably bigger than her height.
Okay.
So yeah, awful character design. But even putting that aside,
all right, I'm about to click on this picture, G, that you've put into our Discord.
Oh god. Apologies to
dude,
everyone.
I don't like this one, Chief.
Look,
I don't know about this.
Look, no. So here's the thing, right? I'm never going to attack someone. Everybody has the right to be horny, okay?
Sure.
If this is what works for you, by all means, go with God. But there's like
or not.
There is a proportional issue here that just so deeply bothers me about this character.
I don't think she could physically exist in reality.
Well, this reminds me of the dark days of rented manga theater, where I would get lolicon shit semi-regularly.
You get your opie lolly, I believe is the correct term, right?
Anyway, so she shows up, and for a little context,
what dragon is this?
So all the dragons in the show are basically omnipotent gods that can do anything they want with their magic. I'm just gonna,
and yet she chooses to look like this.
Yeah, let's just keep that in mind. So she shows up in town for whatever reason, and she's at odds with Toru because they're from the same faction, and they fight for a bit and everything. And the new dragon lady just can't figure out why Toru's shacked up with a human, what the big deal is, why do they have this kind of relationship and everything. Which I'll point out was the big conflict of season 1 with Toru's father, who we've already been through all these questions.
Sure.
So
it kind of feels like not only is it like not, it feels like they're rehashing the same plot line.
Yes, they're bringing up the exact same conflict that just got resolved 2 episodes ago, technically.
Sure.
So I'm like, all right, that's dumb. So I'm just gonna try to explain what happened. So she starts interrogating Kobayashi, who's the human, and trying to figure out what's going on. And after Kobayashi mentions she thinks Toru's cute, she's like, oh, so this is just like a lust thing. Okay, well, I can one-up her by, and tries to seduce Kobayashi. And at some point she says literally something to the effect of, like, give in to your male desires or something. And Kobayashi is like, hey, I'm a woman, and she runs away. So the new dragon lady is now pissed off that she could not seduce Kobayashi.
Okay.
And she is convinced it is only because Kobayashi is a woman.
Oh.
And decides to magically, quote unquote, make her a man.
Oh, we get some gender bender plot line.
And so the episode ends with, I'll point out, Kobayashi looks exactly the same, but she happens to run into the bathroom and look down her pants and realize there has been a change.
Okay,
Great.
And that's where the episode ends.
Great.
So we're going there.
I mean, so I guess the vibe I gotta ask is, like, is this like a long-term thing, or is this just like a bit? Like, this will be resolved by the end of episode 2.
That seems like a bit to me.
Like, here's the thing I want to address, because I've heard a lot of people talk about this going into a transphobic direction with this particular plot line, and you can probably see a million ways that could happen given the circumstances. Primarily because they kind of equate making that physical change with her actually changing her gender and sexuality, which of course
Well,
is
I mean,
not
I guess
accurate,
if I'm going to be like generous here with my assumptions of like this show and the type of tone it has adopted in the past, right? Like, I mean, the play here, right, is that the big boobed evil dragon is doing this because this is a villainous action and because she fundamentally misunderstands the relationship between the main two, right? And that, like,
so
the main two will prove that they still care for each other regardless of whatever fucking fucked up magics the bad dragon has done, right? And the bad dragon will be like, oh darn, I have fundamentally misunderstood here, and makes good by undoing the transformation, right?
I think that's the end game. I think the important thing is that they are going to use this as a, no matter what, Kobayashi and Toru still love each other, regardless of
so,
the
like, that is,
circumstances. So I think I don't want to say their heart is in the right place, but I
no, not like Get a Robo.
I would more so say
has his heart in the right place.
I would more so say I guess I would not, for better or worse, expect this anime or most anime to approach this with that kind of nuance. But yeah.
I mean,
so,
like, this is KyoAni, right? And, like, haven't you guys said before that, like, the manga this is based on is even worse? And that,
yeah,
like,
so that's kind of what I was going to get at, because, like,
is, like, take really bad source material and turn it into something, like,
there are some things that happen that I was reading about in the manga. I have intentionally not actually read the chapters. I've only read some of the descriptions, but I'm not going to pass final judgment until I see what the anime does, because, as you said, KyoAni has the history of cleaning up garbage source material, including with this show. They have cleaned up some of it. If you can imagine, the manga's actually worse than this.
This has always been the case, right? Like, in fact, like, one of the only examples I could think of like the manga was like roughly, or the source material that KyoAni was working with was roughly as good as what they adapted. I remember reading some chapters of the Nichijou manga, and, like,
yeah, it's a pretty straight
it's that one is like pretty much like
Yeah.
1-to-1, other than the fact that the manga does not have KyoAni's considerable animation resources.
Yeah, but like go read the Sound Euphonium novels. They're trash.
Right. Like apparently everything else they've adapted is.
Yeah, so I'm just putting it out there for now that there are concerns going on into the the next couple of episodes here.
But is it also that in a season like this, like?
Oh no, I'm
What
gonna
else
keep
are you-
watching it just out of,
Yeah.
if anything, just out of morbid curiosity that
Right.
they've decided to go this route. So
I mean,
for
look, man,
for better
like,
or worse, I'm committing myself to
Sure.
continuing.
Right.
But
not every KyoAni work is going to be a. I don't even like those shows, but like a Sound Euphonium or a
Right.
fucking what's it called? Robot Girl. Fucking
And-
God, I can't even remember her name. Violet Evergreen,
Violet-
Evergarden.
Violet Evergarden, yes.
Yeah, like not every KyoAni work is going to be hitting that level of tone and presentation.
Yeah. So it's why it continues to frustrate me because the good parts of the show are so good. They handle like the main family part like really well, and everything else is hot garbage in this show.
I guess time will tell how season 2 balances those ratios, right?
Yeah. I'm not getting my hopes too high on it, but I even just out of journalistic curiosity, I am
Sure.
committed to sticking with it. So
Okay,
all
well,
right.
Okay.
Let's
speaking of, the next show on this list,
let's talk about. I don't even know how to. This is the most anime ass name.
Decide
It's like-
Traumerei?
D_side Traumerei.
Side being CIDE.
Right, like I think
Traumerei.
the implication being like genocide or something.
Deicide?
Right.
Yeah, but
This is notable for being a
Bushiroad.
Sanzigen
multimodal-
production.
Sanzigen production. So yes, the Bubuki Baranki people,
the
but also
one of the two other than Orange.
right, one of
Yeah.
the 2 good CG anime
good CG
studios.
anime studios. Yes.
And also, it is an supposedly an adaptation or a gaiden of an upcoming
Mobile game. Yeah.
gacha game.
Yeah. Bushiroad, multimedia project. You know how this shit
Right.
goes.
Yes. The interesting thing, though, that we looked up afterwards is that the game's not out yet.
Yeah.
Like, so this anime is really doing the work of like promoting.
It's funny because like there's a scene where like the protagonists of the mobile game show up or whatever, like mysteriously, and I'm looking at them with no
You're
context.
instantly
Right,
like,
looking at them with no context, I'm like, oh, this has got to be the protagonist of the other
right,
thing.
like these are one of the you pick the boy or girl, right, protagonist,
Right.
basically.
They're like just generic enough.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's funny then because the anime decides to focus on, as far as I can tell, a side character,
Yeah.
right? Like or a different member of the available gacha cast, I guess. And
Yep.
here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll say about D-Side Traumerei. It seems to largely accomplish the things it has decided to set out to do. Like,
Yeah.
if what you're going for is your very like just visually flashy, bog standard supernatural teens fighting monsters anime,
Sure.
it mostly
all
does
right.
it. Yeah, like
Wasn't that bad?
the main character punches guys with his like fucking like
I mean,
fucking Voltron lion
There are
fists.
things that if we read them out loud sound amazing.
Yeah,
that happened
like-
in this episode.
The two characters they introduce that, like, Jell, you understand what I'm saying because you actually play other gacha games. Ice Skates Kid and Minigun Girl scream to me, "Oh, these are your welfare 4 stars you get when you make a new
Right, when
account."
you in the story mode
Yeah.
characters.
Right. Yeah.
Like to make sure that you have at least a couple of decent units right.
But
out
hey,
the
I mean
gate.
that kid was literally fighting with rollerblades.
That kid was fucking Tony Hawk grinding on that monster with his fucking ice skate blades. Like, that shit's alright. That girl had a minigun, and upon closer inspection, so Ear and I are beginning to fall into the Magatsu trap again.
My God's more height. Yeah.
Of like looking up stuff about these characters. That character's name is like
Jessica Claiborne.
Jessica Claiborne, so she's explicitly an American. And if you look closer at her minigun, we are pretty sure the back of her minigun just has the Statue of Liberty's head on it.
I gotta look
posted
that
it
up
into
later.
the Discord.
Like, that's just the Statue of Liberty on the end of a gun, right?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. There are things that happen in the show that if you say them out loud, sound amazing.
Right, it's like, okay, the American character is the one with the gun, and also Statue of Liberty. It's like,
Oh, that's
all
pretty
right.
great. I see it now.
All right, why not? Why not? And that's kind of, again, I think that, like, if you want to look at this anime purely, like, on the merits of what it is doing, in the context of what it is doing, like, it works, right? Sanzigen was the right choice for an anime like this, right? These flashy, thank you, Zig, in the Discord chat, these Guilty Gear adjacent character designs, like, the main character of the anime is just, like, fucking, he kind of looks like Galma, actually.
Right.
Like if Galma,
pink-haired,
if
Yeah,
Galma,
even him, like, I appreciate he's not, mopey protagonist number 853.
right. Like if
He's
someone
like a kickboxer or something,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, and it dude looks like if someone had fed Galma a little bit more, and, like, maybe he wasn't explicitly dying.
he wasn't a 5,000-year-old dying
Right,
mummy,
and, like, his weapon are, like, fucking Voltron-style lion fists. It's like,
that's pretty great.
it's like, all right, man. Like, he fucking does, like, an elbow drop on the monster. In
Oh
the
yeah,
first
I forgot
episode.
about that. Yeah,
Cool.
he elbow drops the monster. Yep.
And it's like, again, it's like, look, if you're looking at this, if you're looking to this for, like, compelling plot and characters, and, like, you're looking to, like, get something deeper out of this, I think you're gonna be disappointed. But, like, if you're looking at this as just like, well, someone gave Sanzigen a lot of money to animate these flashy characters doing cool stuff,
Right.
it largely succeeds. Like,
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's the problem from what you're saying, G. Like, there's literally nothing else. This is all
there's right,
Flash.
Yeah, like, it's all
And, like,
Flash, no substance.
If you're gonna make me watch, a full season of this, I need something to, like, be interesting, or, like, something with the character. I mean, the characters seem okay, but, like, there's
they're
no
fine, but it's not like,
and like, I don't know, somebody do a supercut of the fight scenes at the end of the season, and I'll watch that. Or I don't know.
right?
But,
Like, this very much feels like in a lot of ways, D-side Traumerei almost felt like the equivalent of, like, watching the, like, yeah, like the supercut that someone posts on
All super
YouTube
moves.
of all the pre-rendered CG cutscenes in a video game.
right.
Like, it just kind of looks like that, and so from that perspective, it's like, oh man, this looks
watch
really
all the
cool.
astral finishes.
Yeah, basically.
Video.
Right, watch all the Guilty Gear instant kills.
Yes.
And right, so the question, of course, is, does that have any staying power? I'm not sure. But, like, I think the saddest fucking thing you can say about summer 2021 is that D-Side Traumerei is the show I came away from feeling the least bad about.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna say I felt the best about it. I'm not gonna say I felt
think you're
good
right. Like,
about
because
it, but
it is what it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no, like, the bar may be low, but they hopped the bar. It's,
yeah, they totally did.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Also,
Right,
it's hilarious. The dude transforms by the people with powers in the show are called,
oh my god, we didn't even
are
say
called
it.
knocker ups.
Oh yeah.
Right,
And so to power up, he reaches for this guy and says, "Knock her up."
It's
Like,
so.
yes.
We always say this, right? Like, as much as we love hearing fucking, like, Mads Mikkelsen unironically say the words homo demons out loud in a video game, and as much as we as anime fans love that, I feel like this is once again a situation where Bushiroad, all you needed was one native English speaker on your staff. Like just one to,
Yeah,
like, pipe
I
up
should
and
point
say,
out, to spell it, it's like knock, Koncker, knocker,
knock her up.
space,
like, literally,
up,
like,
exclamation point.
Yes.
Not knock, space, her, space, up.
Yeah.
yes, but
Yes.
obviously for those of you
But
who are
phonetically in English, yes, it sounds
yes,
like
yes.
knock
For
her
context, in case anyone here has English as a second language, knock her up or knock her up is, some might say, a euphemism for impregnating a woman. So every time
Most
these characters are shouting,
unintentionally,
like,
yeah.
knock her up, it's like,
All right.
all right.
All right.
Wow,
You
you
say
you're
so.
saying this girl looks like an elementary school student in the show? Well,
And you're gonna shout, knock
wow,
her up.
she's a knock her up, huh?
Yep, it's like,
See.
look, anime has been doing this for ages, right? You got, what is it, jujutsu sorcerers, or fucking whatever. That's just the first one that came to mind. But there's a long tradition of
Long history, yes.
Shinigami, right?
Yeah.
Long tradition of, like, your special teens have a, like, proper noun name for them, and sometimes a little silly, right? Again, homo demons, but, like, Knocker Up's a little. It's almost a little too much for me. Like I don't know. I can't. I almost can't handle it.
It's not a noun, but they're using it as a noun.
It's like, so why do you keep saying? Because they say Knocker Up in the same way that the characters shout Persona when they summon a Persona in the Persona video games, right? Like they're shouting it in that context, and it's just like, I can't handle it.
Yeah. Well, I had fun watching the first episode.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to watch more of it, but it did what it had to do,
yes,
I guess.
Yes, I will probably watch a little bit more just because. Again,
I kind of want to keep an eye just to see like what other weapons and ridiculous things they pull out, but
give this the Magatsu Award for promising gacha adaptation. Boy, we really hope it doesn't fuck it up at the finish line.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go well by episode 3 here, but
yeah.
All right. Let's move on to another disappointment.
Yeah, let's speaking of another one-note show.
Yeah, so life lessons with Uramichi Onii-san. This is one of the few shows I was actually looking forward to because it has a great comedy premise.
Right.
What is the premise of this? I don't actually know.
So the main guy Uramichi is I guess he used to be a gymnast, but he is now the host of a children's television.
He's basically like
show.
Steve from like Blue's Clues.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You know, like
and
live action actor for children's
kids,
television.
can you tell me what knocker up means?
But he hates his life. He is filled with 30-something millennial angst.
Yep, same.
And the premise is that he's trying to put on the smile and all that and be cheerful while he's hosting this morning, because it's like a morning kid show, like it's even extra like high energy, cheerful, whatever. And there's like a live group of kids there and everything.
Live studio audience, yep.
And but he absolutely hates it, and so like there's like the contrast there, and that's like
it's such a good premise.
It's comedy gold, like black humor gold.
The moment I heard this premise, I was like, oh man, could this be our next like wave? Listen to me of just like deep millennial like just ennui, but
no.
Well, okay.
I don't know if the writers know what jokes are.
Oh god,
no.
like 60% of the show. Well, first of all, and you can read my post on it. I'm kind of rehashing some of that, but I'll want to put it on tape. This guy would have been fired within like 60 seconds because he's just straight out saying how he feels to the kids.
Okay.
Oh.
Just like not even hiding it.
He's not like saying it under his breath or anything. He's like,
"Hey kids, my life sucks. I'm gonna go get plastered today."
Like all there. The director's giving him a thumbs up and everything. And I'm like, is anybody listening to what he's saying? Because he'll be like some kid started crying for some reason, and he's like, "Oh, let me help you up, kid. Because when you grow up, nobody's gonna help you up," and something like that. And like he just does that like over and over again for like 60% of the show, where he just says something terrible about his life or life in general, and there's no attempt to like make a joke or.
I mean, I think it's just the reality, right? Of like, this sounds like they have one good joke, but not only is that, but not only is it the only joke it seems to have, but they're not even executing on that one joke that well.
Right.
Like
you compare this
they're
to
literally just saying it, like they're not putting him in like and again, comedy's hard. I'm not going to pretend I have all the answers here.
No,
I'm just saying, do something. Put him like in some kind of like different uncomfortable situation or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's a shame because like again, like as someone who like I'm not familiar with the manga, but I had just seen some out of context pages for it. I was like, oh, like this is kind of funny. Like I could see you building a comedy series around this, right? But it sounds like that joke wears out its welcome pretty quick.
Yeah, and so the other like 30-40% of the show is like behind the scenes of him just kind of staring blankly at a wall while his colleagues are also basically in the same boat where they all hate their life and basically are saying the same things.
Sure.
Except for his one, the one guy who apparently his thing is he thinks everything is a dirty joke and is very funny. and
Right.
they tell the worst dick joke of all time.
Okay.
Where he's like,
Give it to us.
the guy the guy talks like he just talks like this. He's like totally monotone and quiet and everything.
Oh,
He's
okay,
like,
Okay.
he's like, hey Uramichi, you know, it was some like, I forget, it was like some scientist or something, but his first name was Richard, and you can kind of see where this is going.
Okay.
He's like, you know, the same scientist, you know, Richard, whoever. He's like, yeah. He's like,
what about Richard?
he's like, you know, I was thinking about it, and that would mean his nickname is Dick.
Wow.
And he just laughs for like 20 minutes, and that's
Great.
it. That's
This just reminded me that in the second episode of Get a Robo Arc, one of the main characters calls another character a dinosaur dickhead.
But I'm sure that was a lot more entertaining.
Yes, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah. So again, comedy's hard. Just because you have a good premise does not mean you're going to have a good comedy.
Like, it's definitely like this is like a show like this. Definitely this is the thing that like differentiates shows like this from shows like, you know. I hate that I bring it up every time because it is my go-to good anime comedy, but like a Kaguya-sama, right? That also basically at least started out only having one joke, right?
Right.
But like it managed to find different ways to tell that joke, and then once it started to exhaust that joke, found new, also good jokes to tell, right? Or like, you know, or even like a Hinamatsuri, right, where the joke is that like Nita is, both Nita and Hina are kind of pieces of shit, right?
But they learn to love each other.
Exactly, they find new ways to tell that joke, right? And I feel like that's a thing, right? It's like you could have I mean, fuck, man. Even like Wave Listen to Me, which was like it was like admittedly started like start to lose us by the end there. Like, still managed to find new ways to explore its like, you know, its millennial angst, right?
Yeah.
Of like, you know, it's you're like,
Right.
you know, just losing yourself to the world, right? And it's like, I think that's the unfortunate thing, right? Like, you can have a great premise, but if you don't know what to do with it, it just falls flat.
Yeah. So the comedy drought continues. I don't. Maybe Kaguya-sama was the last good anime comedy I watched. I can't even remember now.
Jesus.
That was like over a year ago now, I think.
Well, maybe season 3 will save us like next year or something.
Oh, that's right. So that season 3 is officially happening, right? So
yeah, I think they announced it
at some point.
So
we'll get to
forward
that.
To the Ishigami harem arc.
Yeah, I don't have to resurrect that with the GLORIO tube. That's actually coming back.
Yes.
All right.
Well, how about, you know, we
let's talk about
what is this?
The one other promising show this season.
Aquatope of White Sand. Yeah. This is the new PA Work show that we joked that it embodies all of the different types of PA Work shows.
And then it does literally everything I expected it to.
And then kind of does.
Literally, I was like, get the fuck out of here when it hit like the 18-minute mark or
what
something.
Happened?
I was like, all right, we're just doing this, huh?
So, what were the 3 types again, Iro, that we talked about?
What? There's the like
millennial women trying to figure out their next
work
career
life.
choice.
There's
right, yeah. So work life. So right, they're working at the aquarium. So
right.
we got that
There's
covered.
Like teens, right?
Yeah, they're 18, I think, both of the girls.
Okay,
right?
and then what? There's just like the teen romance.
Well, it's teen romance. It's like hackneyed teen romance, and then finally supernatural elements.
Right.
And yeah,
this one's
so
got all 3.
The
Cool.
aquarium is apparently magic in some
Oh.
capacity, which they don't explain yet, but I'm sure we'll get more into that.
What Nagino Asukara shit?
Like the one girl.
Does a fish come out of anybody's fucking kneecap like in that show? Remember that shit?
Not quite, but.
But yeah, like, you know, I guess that's the thing, right? It's like Aquatope is like, it is the latest in a specific lineage of PA Works anime, and in that regard, I think it's fine. You know, it is competent at the type of story it is telling, right? Like the main character, like you have your 2 main characters, right? Like you have the like blue-haired, tomboyish, like native of Okinawa who helps run the aquarium and is like trying to like get people interested in it because like the aquarium's like kind of falling apart, and maybe this anime is funded by the Okinawan Tourist Board. And then you have the other main character who is like a former idol from Tokyo who, I guess the implication is like she gave up her spot to an up-and-comer.
Yeah, so
something.
I think
like
I actually kind of liked her bits because there were some, I think, real moments in there, like when she's
totally.
So like for a little context, so I think I got the impression that her idol group was like an AKB48 thing where there's like a million of them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And she was like
She
in the bottom
graduated,
tier.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like nobody, you know how they have their
Nobody
weird
gave a
ranking
shit,
systems, and like
Yeah,
nobody cared
yeah.
about her. So
Well, also the vibe I got from, or I guess I couldn't. They didn't translate the text of like that form they were doing, but like it sounds like she had there was another idol there, like a more junior idol there that like she basically gave up her already meager spot to give another idol a chance to.
She chose to quit, even though clearly it seems like she didn't really want to, but maybe she didn't feel like she was adequate enough or something. Who knows? I'm
Right.
sure they're going to explore that in future
Sure,
episodes.
sure.
But it was her decision to quit, apparently.
Yeah. And then like there's a good bit there where like she can overhear the like the producer staff, the office, the support staff of any idol group kind of talking like
having a realistic but not kind conversation about her.
Realistic but also fairly harsh, right? Of like, oh, like, is she just a dumb kid? Does she think that like doing something that selfless is gonna like reward her in the end? Like
Right.
when you give up your spot in the corporate ladder, like good luck like getting it back ever again, basically, right? Like her career is basically done, like she walks in, right, and like it's very obvious she has overheard it, right? And I actually kind of like liked like how like low key the interaction is, because she's like, all right, yeah, I'm done packing, so I'm gonna get going soon.
Right, she doesn't say anything about it, but clearly heard it.
And of course they don't apologize, right? They just put on the nice like, okay, hey, thanks so much for like all the good work you did. We wish you the best, Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that.
Yep.
That's
I liked
working culture, all right.
I liked when, because she basically is gonna head home after that, and she calls her mom. I liked her phone call with her mom, was very like, that hit home for me, I think.
Oh yeah, like
so her mom's like, yeah, all the family's here. They're putting together a big party to cheer you up, and like you can just tell like
she fucking hates.
It was very much like a like look.
I don't need
you
to celebrate my failure.
Right,
I love my family, but. And I would of course never want to take their support for granted, but sometimes
as
they
an
don't
individual
read the room, and
right, like there's an aspect of shame to it, right? Like even the most supporting family in the world, like look, to get a little real here, as someone who literally this year, after a few years of like independence, had to move back at home with his family because of financial reasons. Yeah, like. There, look, like you don't want, the healthy thing to say is like, look, this is not defeat, right? You're not admitting defeat. You're not losing. You are taking, you're taking a pit stop on the road to get your shit back together, so that once you get back out there, you'll have done all the preparation you need, right? And like. People, especially people, look, a lot of us on this podcast are millennials. A lot of us should be grateful that we still have, family networks who can support us when we fall, right? Like, I want to make that clear, right? To anybody out there who, like, has had to move back home, like, because of COVID, just because of the reality of the last few years, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, look,
it happens, yep.
We do what we got to do to survive. But also, to those of you who feel a sense of shame for that, I'm not going to blame you for that either. Because, like, there is an element of, like, damn, I couldn't make it happen, huh? Like I couldn't pull it together.
Because I know I feel like my family would have done the exact same thing if I were in that scenario, and I'm like,
right,
and it's like they mean well, but they don't realize that like that's not what you need
inviting
right now.
inviting the whole family to welcome you back, like that's the part where for me I really felt it, right? Because like when I came, for example, again getting a little real here, but when I came back home this year. I wanted it to be the most low-key fucking thing in the world.
I'm going to my room.
Let's just not talk about it.
I didn't tell fucking anybody. Like, only my closest friends knew that I moved back home. Like, as far as, like, 90% of the people I know, they still think I'm in LA. Like, and it's just like, you just, it's not that you want to, like, deceive people, but it's just like, hey, if you don't need to bring it up, then why bring it up at all, right?
Yep.
Like, if people don't need to know, like, why bring it up? And so, like, there's those aspects of this show where it's like, man, PA Works really, I think maybe more than a lot of studios out there, like, actually has a really keen understanding of, like, I think the very unique social dynamics of the millennial generation, right? The very
Yeah.
unique dynamics of like what
I
our
think
generation is going through. Like,
They've
culturally.
proved. I think they've proven over time that that's like their strongest thing. Like
Yeah.
they get that. They have people that have clearly been through this, right? Like,
Right, and then like the part where it maybe gets a little like sappy is the part where like, oh, millennial angst can be solved by working at the
Local
Right.
featured
aquarium.
like the featured local tourist attraction of this show, right?
Yeah.
Like Sakura Quest was kind of the same thing, right? Of oh, if you're having trouble with life, join the local tourism board.
yeah, pour your heart into this local
Right.
project or whatever. But
It's like,
yeah, and of course this is after the idol girl after imagining the pity party that's going to happen, decides to just ghost her family and head off to Okinawa.
right. She just decides on a whim, and is that a poster of her? Like,
I
because,
think that's what they were going for. Like,
it's like it's like she apparently sometime in her idol career
Did a-
just did a gig of
Sure.
like advertising the Okinawan tourist board. And
Yeah,
so
so-
it's like a picture of her in a bikini enjoying
Oh,
the Okinawan
of
sun.
course.
They-
She's
they
like,
don't-
huh.
yeah, they don't say
What?
that she's been there before, but maybe she has. I don't know.
Right, it's kind of that vibe of like, oh right, that is a gig I did. Maybe I'll just go there. Right.
Yeah, so she
It's,
goes to Okinawa to wander the beach and figure out what she's doing
Yeah.
with her life, and then gets
and of
sucked
course
into
she
the
gets
aquarium.
rescued by a member of the Okinawan tourism board or
The
something.
heroic
The
tourism
heroic-
lady.
Careful, all
Yeah.
these hot men on skateboards are about to run you over.
Yeah, that show is kind of, look, if you have watched one of these before, a Sakura Quest or a Shirobako, you kind of know what this anime is, and that doesn't make it bad. Maybe it makes it a little bit predictable, but like in a season like this, like look, I'm gonna be real, man. If this anime had aired last season,
Nope, would not have watched it.
would not have watched
I would
this
like-
anime. Would have gotten blown the fuck up. Like what Okinawa? Sorry, I can't hear you over Vivi riding this Minecraft bike to the top of this tower to destroy Metal Float. But in a season like this,
This is like arguably the best thing I've watched so far.
right? Like this is like the best possible season for a show like this.
Yeah.
And it's just like so devoid of anything else. It gives Aquatope of White Sand a chance to stand out.
Yeah.
But yeah, to get into the supernatural part real quick, like there's this like implication that there's like this like Okinawan like demigod sprite
Sure.
who like
Local comedy
wanders
or whatever,
around.
like-
Yeah, he's like a little boy wearing like a hat, or I guess he stole
great.
the idol's hat.
Okay.
And he's like walking around in like a straw like
nobody seems to
skirt
see
or
him.
something. No one
Yeah.
can see him, but like he eats the fish head offerings that are like offered to him, and like the implication seems to be that like he is the one who like subtly guided the idol to the aquarium. And so like the gods of the old ways are
Here to
doing
here
their
to take
part to
care of.
save
Yeah.
Okinawa. And it's like, all right, yeah, it works.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a little hokey, but
Yeah.
You know, like the
Sure.
aquarium is implied to host its own reality marble
Oh,
or
of
something.
course,
yeah,
yeah,
she has like some kind of vision.
Understood.
She has like
Yeah.
a underwater vision quest that gave me anxiety because like there's this part, so she gets teleported to like underneath the ocean, right? And it is just like the infinite like expanse of the ocean.
Nope, yeah,
and
I'm
they,
good,
They
thanks.
portray it as this wondrous moment of, oh, I'm surrounded by the ocean. The ocean is infinite,
Full of life.
and unending, and it's full of life. And I'm like, oh god, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
As someone who is deathly afraid of swimming in the ocean.
What if the seal from Beastars was there with you?
If only. Wait till season 3, Joe.
I don't know if it's
Yeah,
Season
I'm
three,
gonna
so-
pretend I don't know.
Pretend you didn't hear a
I
single
didn't
thing
hear
we
anything
just
about that. All right.
But
It's pretty
yeah.
good,
yeah,
and I probably keep watching it
I
because
might give that a shot.
that's
I
the
think,
the best
you know,
thing we
it's
got
decent,
going at
it's
this
well
point.
made, right? Like it's it is going for what it is. It is going for what it is, and it is like largely succeeding at that. And you know, your tolerance for that type of story will dictate what you get out of Aquatope, I think.
Maybe what we should really do is finally watch the Shirobaka movie.
We should do that.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we fit that in somewhere.
Give me a week to figure out a way to shoehorn the word GLORIO into Shirobako. GLORIO Bako will be our Shirobako watch-along podcast.
Yeah, we'll workshop that. All right.
All right.
Well, speaking of the show we thought would be the most promising thing of the season.
So, yeah, let's talk about Sonny Boy.
Sonny Boy.
Again, I thought this looked cool, which it did. The trailer looked cool.
Yeah,
I liked the art style.
It's almost got like a Yuasa feel to it.
Yeah.
That said,
I don't think Sonny Boy's that good.
Yeah.
I when I was watching it,
I want to like the show, but I don't really like the show.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
wanted to like it so bad that I was giving it so much benefit of the doubt while watching it, and then
Look, Shingo Natsume's a really talented director. I think we all really want.
I don't think the directing was the problem really.
He is
but
also the writer. Is the
So that's the
Oh,
thing.
okay. Oh, he wrote it. Okay. Well, so yeah, I feel like I was like kind of on the fence by the time I finished watching it, and then like every minute that passed after, I hated it more and more as I was thinking about it. Like
I think that's
I was
the
like,
problem,
and
right?
eventually I was just like, you know what? That kind of sucked.
Yeah. I think, ironically, because we made that comparison, I think Yuasa would handle a story like this better. Like, just
Yeah.
straight up. you
So
know?
I was trying to think about why. Could be so. First of all, the premise. We don't really get all the secrets revealed, but there's like a school that has been warped out of
to another
time
dimension
somewhere,
or something. Like,
and
Yeah.
the kids have superpowers that they haven't quite figured out yet, and it kind of breaks into this like Lord of the Flies kind of thing,
right. And
which
like,
is pretty. I mean, you could work with that premise.
oh yeah, totally, right? Like the school like gets teleported to like a purely black void, so like nobody can leave the premises, and like there's like there are aspects of this that I think are interesting in the way that like this type of fiction is, right? Of like people are trying to slowly figure out the rules of the new dimension they're in, right?
Right.
Like there's the sciencey kid who's like performing experiments on the void to like figure out like what are the rules of this world, and like people are beginning to figure out that like their powers also operate on like weirdly specific rule sets and all this stuff, and yeah, there's that clash between the haves and the have-nots, right? Some people got powers, others didn't, but the reality is that maybe they all have powers, but some people just haven't discovered like the specifics of how to activate those powers yet, and like right, there are elements of this that are like, okay,
Yeah.
I could like this could be kind of interesting, right? But it's just like something about the presentation and like the execution of it is just like
The writing sucks.
yeah, I
Throw
think
it out there.
I think
So
it's just like the characters aren't that interesting, right?
Right.
Like you can be a weird show. In fact, I like shows that are intentionally weird right out the gate, but you need to give us something tangible to hold on to, right?
here's
like,
here's what how I was breaking it down. So you had, I think the guy who's supposed to be like the quote unquote main guy is like
Yeah.
the worst type of protagonist because he's like the quiet I don't care guy,
Uh-huh,
right? He's like, huh, what, well, it doesn't concern me, so
right,
I'm
like
just...
like the protagonist who's explicitly trying to avoid being involved in the
right. And he's
plot,
literally just like a
which-
lump on the floor, even though like I feel like even the most like I don't know, shy, quiet person in these circumstances would at least be trying to figure out what's going on, right? And he just doesn't care about
Yeah.
anything. He's just a lump on the floor, literally.
right,
And then they throw the manic pixie dream girl at him for
right,
his
the weirdo one who came back from overseas,
Whoa.
right? So like
who for some reason likes him and is dragging him around.
right,
And
it's
she,
just like-
she's standing up against the system.
whoa.
right, and like she doesn't own a smartphone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's like.
And she
get
won't
it's-
she won't play by your rules, and
And it's like if at least the character dynamic between the two main characters was interesting, we would have something to hold onto here to like invest us in the story.
Right.
But like
they have no relationship other than
Classmates,
like-
I guess. We're
Yeah,
both in
yeah.
this crazy situation.
and for some reason she's taken an interest in him.
yeah, for literally no reason because he has exhibited no personality or anything.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then you have like this element of like the student council is like a little bit ratchet, right? Like there's the kid with like the star birthmark or whatever, like fucking straight up. This kid is like, what is he, a fucking long lost yo-yo or something? But like,
Yeah,
know.
so with the student council then like I feel like they were very uneven with like what they were going for with especially the
Right.
like the baseball player guy cuz
right.
like when they start out and so like I said it gets a little Lord of the Flies where like we have to have some kind of leadership and rules in place and everything and they I don't know did they actually vote him to be the leader or did something
I think
happen
that is
there?
the implication is that he was voted the leader.
So he was a
Yes.
democratically elected representative for the
Right.
and like I didn't feel like what they were asking was unreasonable in the beginning, right? Like
right.
I mean, you could maybe take you could at that point, as the audience, it seemed like everything that was a reasonable request to have people not smash up the school, which is the only place we can live with your superpowers.
Impose like some degree of order on this place.
And it made it so like when the girl gives her big, oh no, I'm not going to follow your rules because I don't want to moment. It's like this is a pretty reasonable request. Like
right, like it's only later in the episode where like the baseball guy like predictably starts to abuse his power.
Right.
And, like then retroactively her snubbing of them makes sense.
And then they try to fit it in as like, oh well, you've always wanted, and then like the asshole guy with the superpowers, they try to flip him over as like the good guy all of a sudden.
Right, like tries to launch a coup.
And it's like, no, you were still a dick. You were
right. like you were still trying to like establish authority through like might is right. So like, no, I'm not going to like you either. But like, yeah, it's just a.
And it's like they couldn't pick a lane there, and from the audience, and for me that just seems like bad writing. I don't think that was a plan.
And then, like,
I think
the end
that was
of the episode like gets even more confusing because it's implied that they teleport again.
Right.
But now the school is like flooded, like they're in the middle of the ocean. But like
what I have read about this show is that they'll be going through multiple different like zones, each of their own rules.
Okay, sure.
That they have to figure out or something. Is what
now, I'm guessing the kid with the star is behind it all. That's my guess, but
I guess that's the thing, right? It's like I don't like the mystery. I don't even care enough about the mystery.
But yeah,
that's the thing that's like actually worries me, right?
Right.
It's like there are shows out there that I have been willing to watch because I'm like, okay, you're doing something here, and I want to see where it goes, right? Like I'm not sold yet, but I want to see like what you're trying to do here. But like Sonny Boy doesn't even give us like that much to hold on to. Like I don't know, man. It's almost like I think this show either needed to lean more into the Lord of the Flies like societal angle, or lean more into the like surreal otherworldly dimension angle, right? Like something like almost like supernatural horror needed to happen this episode, right? Of like just straight up a student goes missing.
What if the
like no explanation, like no rules explain it, just like suddenly one of the kids just disappears, right? And then suddenly the stakes are a little bit higher now. Suddenly it's like, oh, we need to figure this out because like otherwise like something bad is happening. Like it just needed some kind of like some kind of emphasis right, to motivate the characters.
Yeah.
What if the protagonist when they introduced him, he was reading Machiavelli's The Prince?
Oh God.
I don't know, man. It's just like,
that might have made it more interesting. Who knows? But
like I think about like I'm thinking about like for example like I'm trying to think back to like what's like an episode that kind of did this for me, and I'm thinking back like the first episode of It Invaded did this for me.
Oh right, yeah.
Where It Invaded's first episode is also intentionally really weird, right? They don't tell you what the Mizuhanome is. They don't tell you about
like
the dream
this
world.
Dude's just floating in this weird void and is like, well, I'm gonna put the pieces back together.
Yeah, and he's like Rayman. I can split my limbs up like this.
Let's have this insert song, baby.
Right, and it's just like it's weird and it's off kilter. But, like, there's enough there that, like, you're like, oh, alright, like, this is, like, fucked up and surreal, but it's also, like, a serial, like, police procedural. Okay, you got me. Like, because that's the thing. I will gladly say, I was not sold on It Invaded on episode 1. It took, like, a couple episodes to draw me in. Yeah. But the thing that first episode did is, like, catch my attention. And it feels like Sonny Boy just hasn't done that yet. And, like, I don't know, like, I guess this is, maybe a show like this is why the 3-episode rule exists, but, like...
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing, like, because Shiko Natsume is just, like, he's such a talented dude, but, like...
Maybe this is our proof that he should be a director and not a writer.
Maybe.
Give him good source material or something, I don't know.
Yeah, just,
Well... Season 2 of It Invaded coming soon exclusively to the GLORIO Tube.
Oh, man, now that is a thing yes, if we were doing this GLORIO
Brilliant
Tube
Detective
thing for
Zenkaiger is back.
Yeah, that is the thing. That is the thing I would have funded fucking without a second thought, yes.
Well, we'll work on that. Alright.
Okay,
well,
what's else on the list here? Oh, alright.
That's pretty much all the anime that we were going to talk about. I see Ira, you added.
We have a little bit of time here, so I can talk about
we got a couple
Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger.
Is this new?
It's
new Sentai?
It's been running for several months now, I would say.
I've lost track. We haven't done a Tokusatsu minute.
Because Kamen Saber, we ditched that ages ago, and that's still going. So, all right, we're about a fourth through Zenkaiger at this point. It's been 16, 17 episodes, and it's pretty good. It's
remind me, what's the hook on this one?
It's one of the anniversary seasons, so every...
Oh, is it like everybody coming back?
No, it's like they can get the powers of previous Sentai teams briefly. So 10 years ago was Gokaiger, which was the pirate-themed one, where they literally transformed into other Sentai teams. Here it's more like, use that one thing from a previous Sentai team to beat the enemy, and it's a lot more...
So I can summon a dinosaur or a
right.
Cop.
So it's a lot more comedy
Dinosaur
themed.
or cop, the two Sentai.
Right. So like the main guy is Kaiser, who is like generic, but the four teammates are dinosaur themed, animal themed, magic themed, and like machine themed, respectively. Because I guess those are the most four common repeated Sentai themes. Yeah. I wanted to bring it up because last episode they did a really great reference to Jetman, which was the Super Sentai prior to Ranger, which became known as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Jetman was bird themed. That's not important to this reference. So the final episode of Jetman is very infamous and controversial because basically there was a love triangle the whole show, and the last episode, the main character and the love interest, like Red and the love interest, are getting married, right? And the third wheel of love triangle, Condor Black, or Jet Condor, is he's out getting flowers for the wedding, and sees somebody get mugged, and he's like, oh well, I'm a hero, I need to stop them. So he goes and he beats up this mugger and gets fatally stabbed.
Oh, wow.
And so goes and like collapses on the bench as everyone comes out of the wedding hall happy, and they're like, hey, come on. Jack Connor, like, oh, what are you tired for, buddy? And he's like, don't worry, it's just a hangover. And dies as everyone else is cheering.
I think I have seen this scene parodied in manga and anime.
Right,
like
it's a famous scene, or he dies on this bench, and so the villain of this episode of Zenkaiger was like, I'm gonna stop all resistance on Earth by making everybody too love-struck with each other to fight back. And so and so everyone's defeated by love all episode, and then they're like, alright, the only way to defeat this is with the Jetman gear. Activate the Jetman powers. And so the aspect ratio becomes 4:3, and they do a full remake of this scene with all the characters from Zenkaiger, shot for shot, and
in 4:3.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Except the monster of the week is the one who gets stabbed.
He collapses on the bench.
He collapses.
So it's almost like they did. So it's almost like their super move that they pulled on.
Yeah, he got stabbed, really collapses on the bench, and explodes.
Like
that's really good.
Like they're like fighting game Mugen ridiculous animation.
It's just like multiple minutes long.
I'm glad I told you not to mention this until the podcast because that is excellent.
Yes,
wow,
collapses on the bench and fucking explodes, and then everyone's like, "All right, we beat it, yeah!" And this smoldering bench is in the foreground, and
that's great.
Perfect.
That's pretty
excellent.
Good. I ain't gonna lie. Like when you say a show is an anniversary show and its gimmick is basically just spot the reference,
right?
But the whole
but also this is a reference that like the grandparents of a current target audience would understand.
Right. Yeah. So like no, that's where I was getting with that is like I feel like there's a way to do this poorly, which is just like hey look, remember that reference, and then there's the version of this that you're describing to me, which is like. Yes, not only remember that reference, but look at our fun twist on a very like iconic moment in our history, and I feel like that is a legacy franchise at its best when it leverages its legacy in like fun, novel ways. Mm-hmm. So that does sound pretty good.
This is barely tangentially related, but I was just thinking about Honkai Impact 3rd doing the Evangelion event where they recreated the like first 3 episodes of Evangelion with the characters in universe.
I did see those clips.
That was pretty great, like shot for shot. Oh, in a lot of it.
Yeah. And so Zenkaiger has been extremely goofy, which I appreciate.
I guess it continues the law that Only one.
It's true.
of the
Only one can be
only
good
one
at a time.
toku is allowed to be good at any given time, and it is Sentai's
It's
turn.
been Sentai's turn for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to get Urabuchi off those puppets
damn.
and back into suits.
Or maybe we should just watch Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Is it time?
Maybe
Is it
we
time to
should.
announce our new podcast?
Oh, God.
GLORIO,
I don't know.
GLORIO Bolt
I feel like there's
Fantasy?
still a lot of things on the backlog before we get to Thunderbolt Fantasy, but
Look, I'm
maybe
just
someday.
saying, by next podcast, we might be ready to unveil our new feature, GLORIO Slayer,
Oh, don't.
where Iro and I rewatch and finally finish Akira Amamiya's.
Okay, I thought for some reason I thought we were going Demon Slayer there. I'm like, what? No.
What?
No.
GLORIO.
Ninja Slayer.
Think about the
yeah.
original Slayer,
Yes.
Ninja
Yes.
Slayer.
But everyone will think Demon Slayer, so that we'll get,
Oh,
the,
get
the
those
page
hits.
views.
We're just coming off this. We're just coming off this Akira Amamiya kick, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is, was
You're
so
right,
good.
yeah.
And why don't we go back to the
To
old,
his,
the
to his
original,
sophomore work.
right? The original Amamiya classic, Ninja Slayer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this season might be a lot of us just catching up on backlogs because,
What else we're gonna do?
look, like I ain't gonna lie, man. Like to all you guys listening, half these shows will be gone by the next podcast.
It's true, yeah.
Like,
Yep.
maybe even more. Like, I don't. I'm sticking with like maybe 3 shows on this list.
Yep. That might be generous. We'll see.
Uh,
I'll give something like Sonny Boy another episode or two, but I'm gonna have a
Sure.
real quick hook on that one.
Yeah.
all right. What's
Worth pointing out,
Not
there are
everything's-
quite a few shows that haven't aired yet.
That is true.
None of them look good.
Yeah.
The only one I think I still have left assigned the Mappa one, the Ida 10 Deities Only No Peace or something, and once I finally watched the trailer to that, the trailer kind of looks like the art style is really cool, but it does look like
Wait. Which one is this?
the Ida 10 Deities Only No Peace. It's by Mappa.
Oh, isn't this
Oh,
that
no,
show?
no.
Oh,
This is-
gee,
no,
you talked to me about this.
no,
Oh, do you know the
no.
manga for this one or?
I don't know it specifically, but I heard of it by reputation.
Oh, okay.
Maybe maybe I misheard things. All right, maybe
Okay.
I misheard something about this show.
Crush my hopes,
and,
G.
And
Crush
I
them.
didn't. And maybe it's not as bad as I think, but I think this show has like a pretty graphic sexual assault occur in it.
Oh, great.
Again, I look. I know very little about this show. I just know that I saw the trailer, and then I heard some people saying, "Oh yeah, no, isn't that the show where the nun gets?" And I could have misheard. I might be throwing this show under the bus unfairly. Like maybe this show's actually good, and I just mistook it for a different show. And
I don't know if I
actually,
see a
this show
nun
is
in the
fine.
picture, but anyway, the art looked cool in the trailer.
Yeah, no, I liked the trailer. That's why I thought the same things. Oh, this PV looks all right.
Yeah.
But
Everything else otherwise.
This
can't even
it,
think of
it, I
anything
do know that
noteworthy,
it's by the source material is the same creator as the source material for Dragon Maid.
oh,
but, like the writer of the manga,
Or wait, it might be the illustrator. Hang on.
Oh no, it's much worse. I'm looking it up now. It's the writer of Ishizoku Reviewers.
oh,
That's
How
much
could
worse.
this have gotten worse?
oh.
Well, forget that one.
Well,
I mean, I
no,
have to
let's-
watch
let-
it
let-
because for
So,
journalism.
okay,
yeah. all
Report
right.
back on this
Well,
for us, Jel, next podcast.
Awesome.
Oh, that's much worse.
Oh no.
God. I don't want to
Oh,
dig
so
any
then
deeper.
maybe is the thing that I misheard actually correct, but it's played as a joke then?
Oh, that would
Is
be
that what I heard?
that would
Because
be much worse.
if we were talking about that creator, that would be the thing, right? I mean,
All right. Well, we'll see
get
if that
back
ends
to
up
us on
being the
that,
worst
Joe.
thing I watched this season. All right.
Great.
On that high note, let's end it there. Do our housekeeping. Check us out at theglorioblog.com for all of our first looks for many shows that we did not talk about on this podcast because they either sucked or were boring. That'll get the readers, right?
Yep, definitely.
Follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. Tell us how we were wrong about these shows, or maybe you found another show that's actually good that we should be watching. Please tell us.
Yeah, maybe.
Keep an eye out for that new Kickstarter for the GLORIO tube, of course. And that's going to do it. So, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.